Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, we're going to cover this topic or idea of, is procrastination a trauma response? This is a really amazing idea, and I want to talk to you about a few different facets of this, but I also want to talk to you a little bit about what's really going on the vast majority of the time with procrastination and how we can actually sort of eliminate some of these challenges that are caused by procrastination so we can get into alignment and solve for this. Because really, truly, procrastination should not be a chronic thing that takes place in your life. It's normal as a human being to have like a moment of procrastinating here and there for a few minutes before you get into something, or as you're changing gears between different topics that you're working on or different things you're studying. But if this is this like repetitive, huge thing, there's actually a lot of really powerful subconscious hacks that you can use to really transform this. So it's not something sort of ruining or sabotaging your goals, your dreams, your vision for the future. So the very first thing that you need to know is that procrastination and self-sabotage both fall into this category of basically your conscious and subconscious mind having friction against each other. In other words, if I sit down and I've got really strong needs personally around emotional connection, personal growth, teaching, I love, as a basic human need, like contribution. And, if these are a lot of things that really drive me as a person, and then you take me and you put me in some kind of job or profession where I'm working alone. I don't get to talk to people. I don't get to think about personal growth, how we connect, how the mind works. Then I'm going to procrastinate when I go into that workplace. I'm going to be like, my mind is going to have a hard time focusing on what's in front of me. And that's because we all have subconscious personality needs that absolutely drive us. And they are driving our behaviors, they're driving our decisions, our emotions. They're driving so many things. And because our subconscious mind and unconscious mind collectively are responsible for about 95 to 97% of our thoughts, our feelings, our decisions, our behaviors, and our conscious mind is only 3 to 5%, what happens is we've got this huge friction, this huge pull. So my conscious mind, like let's say you put me in as an accountant, right? And that's a great job. And that's a great job for a lot of people. But for me, I would be alone. I would be not studying or talking about human beings. I wouldn't be sharing or teaching. And it would be, my subconscious mind would be constantly in resistance to that because it's so far out of alignment with my personality needs, my subconscious needs that are driving me at all times. We all have them. They don't just impact things like that. They actually also impact how we give and receive love. So I remember, for example, that when I was first learning about this, I was like, oh, this is so good to know, because I was in a position where I was constantly giving people personal growth books as gifts, like in my family, my friends, like things at Christmas. And people were like not reading them, not going to workshops with tickets I bought for them, things like that. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, and then realizing, oh, it's because those are not their personality needs. They're not driven to function in that way. So we tend to give love in that way. But when we don't know other people's personality needs, it's actually hard to determine also how like they receive love. And so we can have these disconnects that take place and misunderstandings. So this is a huge thing to pay attention to. Now, when we put this in the context of procrastination, we are going to procrastinate, self-sabotage, or resist things that are out of alignment with these needs. This is point number one. There's other things at play at a subconscious level. And so what we have to do is learn our personality needs at a subconscious level, and then learn to live in alignment with these needs. This is where we are most successful, procrastinate the least, sabotage the least, show up the best, or the most present and focused. I mean, just learning this is like a massive hack to your entire life. I personally actually literally learned my needs and then tried to develop a career for myself based on this. Like figuring who I am and then trying to create something in the outside world that aligned with that, rather than anything else, than trying to fit myself into something. And I think it's a really important approach for a lot of people to take. But anyways, with this being said, this is one of a few key pieces that can really cause procrastination. If you want to learn more about this, we have a whole course about this. We have a self-sabotage and procrastination course and what's going on at the subconscious level of mind that you can check out for free for 7 days using the link below. We also have a personality needs course that just helps you do such a deep dive into understanding your needs, what they are, what's governing you, and learning to live in alignment with them as well. And you can check those both out for free for 7 days using the All Access Pass membership link below. Point number 2 that also impacts procrastination at the subconscious level. So again, going back to that key theme where our conscious and subconscious mind are kind of in friction with each other, like going in a different direction. And you can see how defeating it is, right? Because your conscious mind says, I am going to go to the gym. I'm going to finish my homework. I'm going to do the projects. I am going to, apply for new jobs. If those things are not in alignment with you, you say you're going to do it, and then you sabotage, you procrastinate, you avoid, you resist, right? And we've all been there, and it's frustrating. And then the worst part of it is that we tell stories about ourselves, right? We give it meaning. We're like, oh, I'm weak, I can't do it, or I'm not strong enough. And it actually has nothing to do with that at all. So the second major feature is that we have limiting beliefs about ourselves. And the mind is wired to avoid pain and to seek relief. So if I believe, like, let's say I'm going to sit down and create a task, right? Let's pretend I'm just going to sit down and record a YouTube video. If I believe that I'm not good enough, I'm not capable, people won't like me, if I've got all these limiting beliefs, which are core beliefs, right? I'm not good enough. I'm incapable is often related to like a sense of helplessness, which is a core belief. I am disliked. These are all core beliefs. So let's say I've got these beliefs and I associate them with my task. Well, as I try to go towards my task, those beliefs create a negative feeling. And then my subconscious mind associates the task with this negative feeling and wants to sort of push away the task as this subconscious strategy to create relief, to get away from the pain and to move towards relief, to get away from that negative feeling. I'm wired for that. So when we've got these negative beliefs, they can create these huge blocks in terms of our ability to show up and really achieve things that we set our mind to. And that can be really disempowering across time. And then obviously you want to do reconditioning or reprogramming of those beliefs, right? And I've got some other videos on this channel that cover that. And we've got a full course all about that too, all included in that 7-day trial. Not to keep saying this over and over, but just like all the resources are there. You can check them out for free for 7 days. It's the belief reprogramming course. So anyways, the next thing is if we are in a position where we're in a state of learned helplessness or nervous system dysregulation. So this is where it can be interesting. Like when we look at the idea of trauma response, right? When we have a lot of trauma because of past tasks, right? So to clarify, all of those things are technically trauma responses, right? I'm living out of alignment with my needs, probably because I'm pressured. I think I have to be doing things this way. That's usually like dysregulated emotion because of painful sort of ideas that we've adopted about who we should become or who we have to be. But when we get into this space of going, I've got all these limiting beliefs, right? Those are the result of trauma responses. Trauma is just anything we couldn't properly emotionally process. We stored it as a self-concept instead, and then project it out onto future situations as a means of protecting ourselves. So like, if I can know I'm not good enough, then I won't go in the direction of that job interview. I won't try to take on that task. I protect myself accordingly. Again, from a subconscious perspective, right? Like consciously we know better, but our subconscious avoids and does all these sort of cartwheels and backflips to avoid the obstacles instead. So really important to pay attention to. Now, the third thing is that we can get into this freeze mode. We can actually get into like a full nervous system dysregulation state or freeze mode. And that can be the result of trauma. And when we get into learned helplessness as well, sometimes it's just over small things. So it can be that we haven't chunked our task down into small enough pieces. So we just feel so overwhelmed by it and so helpless. But if we already have prior stored really painful emotional experiences connected to overwhelm or helplessness, then when we try to move in that direction, we will feel really, really bad. So let's pretend as a child, I had a lot of trauma around being overwhelmed by stuff. And let's pretend there was too much for me to handle in my environment or my home. And so as a protective mechanism, when I felt overwhelmed, I would go into freeze mode. And that was just one of our 4 trauma responses: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. So I get into that mode. And then in my adult life, when I feel overwhelmed again, it trips that response, right? Because the mind associates coping mechanisms with emotions. So we go, whoa, trauma response time, freeze mode. And this can really exacerbate our experience of procrastination and make it into something way bigger than it otherwise would be. So, to answer the question, is procrastination a trauma response? Sometimes, not always. If it's an extreme amount of procrastination, yes. And if it's a needs thing, we can just be living out of alignment, and our conscious and subconscious can sort of be working against each other, where the conscious mind says, be an accountant, sit down in that office. And the subconscious mind says, I want to learn about people and talk to people. And so we can have this sort of push-pull pattern. But then in other cases, if it's a limiting belief, or if we've got stored associations with feelings of overwhelm, we can go right into a trauma response that's been conditioned as a way to deal with the feeling of overwhelm, and can put us into an extra freeze mode, making us feel like we're in this huge state of procrastination. And yes, that is the result of trauma as well. So I hope this makes sense. I know that was a lot of information. Again, I've got really in-depth courses about this, and a lot more than I can go into. I mean, these are all kind of in-depth topics, like the needs, the beliefs, nervous system regulation, and hard to cover all in like a 10-minute video. So check it out if you are interested. Again, it's all free. The resources are there for if you want to just scope them out, go in there. You can get through a course in 7 days for sure. And thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next video.